It's Kathy Reichs, author of the Viral series, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about Tori Brennan and her friends. In the first book in the series, Virals, Tori Brennan, who is Temperance Brennan's 14-year-old great-niece, has come to live with her father, Kit, in Charleston, South Carolina. Now, readers of my Temperance Brennan books may remember Kit from book 3, when he was a teenager and wild about motorcycles. Well, Kit is now all grown up. He's a veterinary researcher, and he works for a university in Charleston at a veterinary research institute called the Loggerhead Island Research Institute, which is located on a small barrier island out in the ocean off of Charleston Harbor. Now, Tori has just come to live with Kit. One of the advantages of working for LERI, the Loggerhead Island Research Institute, is that the children of faculty get housing. Everyone gets housing out on Loggerhead Island. So Tori lives in a pretty remote place. She's offshore across Charleston Harbor from the rest of the city. So there aren't very many kids out there. So Tori's only friends are the only other teenagers out on Morris Island: Shelton, Hi, and Ben. Now, another benefit to Loggerhead Research Institute parents is their children can go to Bolton Academy, a very upper crust, blue blood school for the wealthy. Well, Tori and her friends aren't wealthy. They get free tuition from the university. So they don't really fit in very well. They don't have all the Gucci purses, and she doesn't have all the fancy clothes that the other girls have. So she really doesn't fit in very well. So she and Ben and Shelton and Hi become very close friends. They love science. They're very smart, and this also sets them apart a little bit from the rest of the students at Bolton Academy. Now, one of the things the four of them like to do is to go out to Loggerhead Island in Ben's boat, because there are lots of animals out there. There are monkeys, free-ranging monkeys. There are marine animals like porpoises and dolphins and loggerhead turtles, of course. And they're out there one day, and they hear an odd noise in a lab that they've never known existed before. It has lots of very tight security. So they kind of break into the lab, and they find a puppy. And that puppy is sick. And they notice that the puppy is part of an experiment using parvovirus. That's a virus that normally people don't catch, only dogs catch it, and it's very lethal to puppies. So they rescue this puppy. They see that he's marked for termination, and that's against all the rules of Loggerhead Island Research Institute. So they liberate the puppy, and they take him back to where they live, and they hide him in their clubhouse, which is an old bunker. But what they don't know is that because of this illegal experimentation with the dog has a form of parvovirus that now can jump to humans. And they get sick, and the kids get sicker and sicker and sicker, and they don't know what's going on. Eventually they get better, but they realize they've been changed. They now have canine abilities, almost like a wolf or a dog. They can see way beyond what humans can see. They can hear things that the human ear can't hear. They can smell things like fear or deception. So they know they've been changed. They've been altered in their DNA. So this also isolates them from everybody else on the planet. So they form a very close, almost like a club, just the four of them, and they call themselves the Virals. Now, what the Virals like to do is to solve cold case mysteries. And in the first book, they stumble across something. One day they're out on Loggerhead, and one of the monkeys throws something at them, and he pegs Hi right in the head with it. So Tempe becomes very curious about, I won't tell you what this object is. She collects it. She becomes very curious about what it is and what it's doing out there and who it belonged to. And as they track down the owner of this object, they realize that they are actually involved in a cold case murder investigation. So they use science, and they use their special abilities to solve cold cases. Now, the second book, Seizure, they're faced with a problem. You know how the economy is. It's been tight, and the university is feeling the budget crunch. So they are going to have to sell Loggerhead Island, and Morris Island. And the virals are going to be split up. Their pack, as they think of themselves, is going to be split up because their parents will all have to take jobs elsewhere. So they determined to find the money to rescue Loggerhead Island so they can all stay there. They researched Charleston and learned that Charleston, way back in the late 1600s, early 1700s, was a hotbed for pirates. And they decide to look into that, to find out more about these actual pirates that actually lived in Charleston. And they discover a female pirate, a woman named Anne Bonny. Well, when my son and I, Brendan, who writes these with me, were researching, we thought, well, how cool are pirates? How cool is a lady pirate? So they did decide that they would try to find Anne Bonny's legendary treasure. According to history, Anne Bonny was a pirate. She was eventually arrested with the entire crew on her ship. Everybody else was hanged. But in those days, you couldn't hang a woman if she was pregnant. And Anne Bonny claimed she did what's called pleading the belly. She claimed she was pregnant. So she was not hanged. All the rest of her crew were. And no one knows what happens to her. If she died in prison, if she had her baby and got out of prison, and if she was eventually hanged, if she was rescued by her father and went on to live a long and happy life, no one knows what happened to Anne Bonny or her treasure. So we work that into the story in Seizure, and the virals go in search of Anne Bonny's treasure. The third book in the series, Code, will be out in March of 2013. Now in Code, Hi, who really likes gizmos and gadgets, has bought himself a metal detector. And he and the other virals are out on Loggerhead Island one day, and he is searching, running the metal detector over the beach, and he finds an object, a box. And in that box are some very unusual items. Well, what they have stumbled upon is the game of geocaching. And if you go on to your computer and look up geocaching, you will find that there are many of these boxes buried all over the country. You can search by your zip code. And the game is that people use GPS to go out and locate these geocaches. You then go onto the website and log on and tell the website that you have in fact found the geocache. So Hi talks the rest of the virals into playing the geocache game. But soon things turn very, very sinister, and they realize that they are caught up in a game that is much, much more dangerous than they ever imagined. And I think that's all I'm going to tell you about Code. You're going to have to check out the book. Again, it'll be out in March of 2013. So I hope you enjoy the viral series as much as Brendan and I enjoyed writing it.